Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dirty Gaming and a new video on the channel going over the plan for my Atlas strategy in 3.22. This strategy is built around my league start build and what I need to get that build going. So it works perfectly for me, but it might not be a strategy for you if you're running a different build and you need different types of items. If you want to just make sure you're earning tons of currency when you progress, you can't go wrong with essences, expedition, stream of consciousness, and map drop nodes. That's all you need to make a lot of currency if you want to progress slowly and do lots of mechanics as you go along. If you're someone who doesn't need any gear, then use a wandering path setup and rush your Atlas. There are tons of trees on YouTube for this sort of setup. I'm going for a fairly standard setup for me, which is essences and map nodes for the majority of the start. So to start, we're going to go up and we're going to get prolific essences. Mainly because this starts getting some screaming essences into maps, I can use those to upgrade away from my terrible gear. If you follow my build, there's a loot filter that's going to highlight all the bases that you need to craft on. So all I'll do is pick up a few bases, pick up some essences, craft some gear, pretty much whatever hits, it's probably going to be better than my campaign gear. We're then going to progress through and go straight down the middle through the Kirak nodes and get more chance for Kirak missions. So at this point, we've got 7% chance to get an additional Kirak mission on completion. Kirak missions are really helpful early on because it helps you fill out your white map progress. Every time you run a map, his vendor resets, you can buy them for chance orbs. It's just a really good way to fill in those maps that you're missing and keep your Atlas progression going. If you do this strategy properly, you can probably do nearly all of your white maps before you have to run a duplicated map. At this point, I'm going to go up here just to prepare for essences, but we're not taking them yet. I'm then going to come down and get Shaping the Skies. Then I'm going to come down this way and I'm going to get Shaping the Mountains. This gives me some decent map sustain. I'm then going to go and get even more map sustain. And now is the time I'm going to think about going and getting the rest of the essence nodes. So at that point, I'm then going to go and get Amplified Energies and then finish it off with Crystal Resonance. This node here is moved and I never took it anyway, Crystal Lattice. This can make your essences so difficult early on. Later on, when your character's really well geared, if you want to farm essences, you would take it because you'll get so many more essence out of it. At the start, it's a few more points and I don't want to die constantly because I end up with this 4 or 5 mod essence monster that just obliterates me because of the unique modifiers on it. So this is the point where I've basically got what I need. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some quantity and I'm going to get these map nodes here. This will take me to sort of mid to end tier yellow maps. And at this stage, I'll be wanting to transition to crit. So I'm going to go back, farm essences in my white maps. Any chaos orbs I've had, I'm going to use to put essence on the map device. If you want to, feel free to pick up rares to do chaos recipe to fund the essences. I may or may not do this. I haven't decided yet. But this is my first step Atlas tree. Map nodes, Kirak nodes, and essences. And that's all I'm taking. And then I'll put links to these in the video description. So I will just now farm white maps to get loads of essences. I'll use the essences to craft on the bases that I picked up to get the gear I need to transition to crit. And I'll sell all the others in bulk that I don't need, and that should get me a nice supply of chaos. Once I'm ready to start progressing, we're going to push on further. I'm now going to take shrines, just because it means I can push maps that are harder with gear that maybe isn't as good. The other shrine nodes I'm going to take are these ones here. I'm not going to travel up and get the covetous shrines. They're obviously good for drops, but it's quite a long way to go and not something I need at this point. So when we're here, we're still going to be pushing our maps. We're probably into like early tier red maps. Now I'm going to start taking some nodes that might not make a lot of sense, but they lead into the strategy I want to do next. So all I want to do now is basically get map drops. Once I'm happy with my essence gear, I'm going to then get rid of all the essence nodes and we're going to go wandering path to finish off the Atlas. So you're going to need a few orbs of unmaking. We're going to take these essence nodes off here, these off here, and then we're just going to remove. You don't actually have to remove these because we're probably going to be more than enough points anyway. So for now, I'll just leave the other major nodes in. At some point when I really need the points, I'll take them out. But for now, I don't. And then we'll just go wandering path. And with the spare points I've got, I'm going to go down and get more Kirak missions. This gives me 14% chance to get a Kirak mission on completion. In red maps, I can get offered things like Guardian maps, unique maps, valuable things or items that we can get valuable rewards out of. They're really, really going to come in handy when we start completing red maps. And by now, we should be easily pushing into early red maps. Then I'm just going to come and get as many connected map nodes as I can. I'm going to want this at 100%. I want 100% chance for a monster to drop an additional map. Doesn't really matter where you go. If you have a specific Atlas strategy in mind, obviously go a certain way, but there's only so many nodes you can take before they start changing into map duplication nodes. So we'll say just for this purpose, we're going to come down here. We've now got it at 80%. We'll come down and take these two here in case I want to do blockers later on. So then we just need 3 more nodes. So we're going to go out and take these nodes here. You can take whatever nodes you want that add a tier, but now we've got 100% chance for the monster to drop an additional map, or a monster to drop an additional map. Now I want to start filling out this duplication. So we're just going to go take any nodes really, because it doesn't matter what I take based on the strategy that I want to do. Then we're going to come and take the rest of them here and come up here, and we're going to take Exarch nodes here ready for my first strategy. So at this point, we won't be far off clearing our Atlas. We'll have our first 2 Void Stones, and we'll hopefully drop in a ton of maps. If you want to, you can set these maps up in a trade tab and sell them. I'm just going to keep them to run myself and maybe use orbs to turn them into different maps. Then I'm just going to go and fill out this middle quantity bit here. I'll probably go through Harbingers because they're probably the best nodes to pass through. And then we'll fill out this wheel here. And this is probably going to be roughly my tree. I'm going to have some more points, but it's just going to be more map node duplication, nothing else. So we'll just come up here and fill a few more out. And let's say this is our final tree when we want to start our first Atlas push. So at this point, I'm going to farm altars. My character should be good enough because I've been farming gear through essences. So I've been getting the bases I need, using essences to get my gear, transition into crit, and I should have a character that can just about make his way through these maps. The only other thing you need to add in are the shrine nodes here, because now we get 100% chance to get a shrine, 40% increase of the buff, and 150% duration. So if you get anything like a massive shrine that gives you more life, a crit shrine, a speed shrine, a defense shrine, they're all going to help out, and they're all going to help you get through content even if you're slightly under geared. The only other thing I'll probably do is fill out these map nodes here, and this would be a complete tree minus your invitations and unique maps. I'm going to do all of the Maven encounters, obviously, and then you'll have your 2 Void Stones socketed to give you a chance to get higher map drops. At this point, I will have 6 favourite slots. I will have killed Exarch, Eater, a T16 map, and 1 of each Guardian and a Conqueror. That gives you 6 favourite slots. Doesn't matter if it's a struggle to do the map. Doesn't even matter if you do those maps white. You just want to get them done to get your favourite slots. And then once I've done that, I'm going to set 5 favourite slots to Mausoleum and 1 to a connected map. The reason being, Mausoleum is a bit of a unique map in the way that the boss doesn't spawn until you kill lots of minions, then the boss spawns. Because of that, the game never registers that there's a boss in the map until you actually spawn him. So when you use your altars, you are going to get just minion and player altars and no boss altars. Take minion altars every single time. We're going to be getting Chaos Orbs, Val Orbs, Regrets, Orbs of Unmaking, Awakened Sextants, and lots of Eldritch currency. Now, lots of people do this, so these currencies are often slightly cheaper earlier in the league and they increase as you go along, but it's currency that sells really easy, and it's also currency we can use. If we farmed 60 Chaos, for example, we can use that later in another strategy to do Essence, or we can go and buy gear or buy some crafting materials to get our gear even better. This is probably the way I will earn currency for a 6 link. I'll just farm raw chaos until I've got enough for a 6 link. Buy that 6 link, then I'm 100% going to easily clear this sort of content. You don't really need to even out the maps. So all we care about is pack size in the altars, which you get from here. The reason being is the altars have a set mod. So it'll be, our monster has a 5% chance to drop a Chaos Orb. You can't boost that mod up, so there's no point making the map harder. If you're comfortable doing them, you may as well alch them because you're going to get more drops naturally, more currency, chance to get more uniques and things like that. But just for farming altars, you can just do the magic. And because of these nodes set up here, you're going to drop a ton of maps and you're going to be able to sustain. So all you'll do is you'll run Mausoleum until you run out. Then you'll go and run your connected map till you've filled up your Mausoleums again. And you ping pong between the two. Because we don't kill the boss on Mausoleum, we obviously don't want to forget to go and get our invitations. So every 14th and 28th map, you're going to go and do the connected map to make sure you get that invitation to drop. And I'll just be selling those invitations. My build, although it could probably get through those invitations, it would take a while. Realistically, I'm not going to get any loot that's worth anything. I'm going to sell these to, again, fund future upgrades or future farming strategies. And this is probably something I'm going to do for a good 5, 6, 7 hours until I've got my character geared enough that it can kill bosses really, really quickly. Then I'm going to move on to stage 3. Now this is a bit untested because it uses a new node, so don't necessarily just follow this blindly, maybe see how I'm going with it or someone else. But what I want to do is start using this Keystone here. So the Maven summons 1 to 3 additional bosses when witnessing map bosses, and modifiers to the final map boss in each map will apply to those summoned bosses. And these nodes leading up to it are really good. Final boss in each map has a 16% increased chance to drop a Maven's invitation. When you take them all, it goes up to 96% increased chance. Now, I used to do this strategy anyway without the extra bosses, and you get a lot of invitations drop. And even though we're not getting any chance for like Conqueror maps to drop, it still drops lots of them. And with the duplication nodes, you often drop 2. Having 3 or 2 to 4 bosses in the map just gives us much more chance of dropping Guardian maps and also invitations. So we obviously don't need these altars at that point because we're going to be putting Maven on the map device. Now, I don't think all of these bosses are going to be witnessed. If they are, even better, because we can turn over invitations really quick. You're going to switch your favorite system up as well, which I'll come on to in a minute. But in terms of nodes, you're just going to go over here, and you're going to take destructive play. At this point, you do need to start at least Alk and go in your maps because it's going to make a difference for the drops that you get. If you're feeling really brave, you can come out and take all these modifier effects here, but they do make the map difficult. If you get, double Fizz as elemental, it's going to be something like 300% Fizz damage as extra elemental damage. So you might die doing this strategy, but it does increase your loot a lot. I probably won't do it until I'm really comfy that I can just blitz map bosses. The only other mod I'm probably going to avoid is unique bosses are possessed. I don't want 4 bosses possessed, giving each other buffs, consecrated ground, all these horrible things, and you may end up with encounters that you just can't complete. But this is a tree I'm going for, and I'm going to do this for a few days because I really want to test out whether it is good or not. At this point, I can then drop, obviously, all the major nodes because I'll have the regrets to do it. So we no longer need all of these nodes here. And I'm going to keep the Kirat nodes in because now we're actually going to be killing the boss in every map. We're going to start building up our Kirat missions. Again, this can help us with lots of profit. If we add the odd map that we need to fill out for completion, we can do that as well. And that's my strategy for the first week. So the only other thing I'll probably take, which I will put in the Atlas tree, is shadow shaping. What shadow shaping does is essentially maps that you drop can't be your favorite maps. And any map that you do drop has a 1% chance to get a special implicit modifier on the map for each map that we favored. So we'll have 6 favorite slots. If we favorite 6 different maps, any map that drops has a 6% chance to have a special implicit. The reason I'm doing this is because there might be horrible maps that I just don't want to do, or the bosses are really awkward or phased, so I can block those by favoriting them. So if we go and have a look at the map tier list here, basically anything from here up is going to be T16. So I can go through and I can say, I don't want Sulfur Vents because I really don't like the layout. I'm going to block it. Lava Lake, never want to do in a million years because of the boss. Same with Sunken City. We can go down. Maze is too awkward. Reef has a phased boss. And I don't want to do Infested Valley. I can then block those 6 maps and they'll never turn up. It doesn't affect your actual map drops. It just means that when maps drop, they can't be those 6 maps. And that's just going to help me at least manage an easier 10 maps for getting these map bosses completed. And obviously, I'm going to run 10 different maps each time because I need Maven to witness the boss for these new bosses to spawn. You can't just run the same map over and over again because once the boss is witnessed, it can't be witnessed again. And the Keystone only works when Maven witnesses bosses. So there's just 2 other things that I may look at, which aren't part of an Atlas progression, but I think it's things that the build could do well in. That is a lead mechanic because it might turn out to be really profitable. If it is, I'll certainly be trying it out. And then also Sanctum. I'm going to wait to see how rewarding Sanctum is and how regularly they drop and how much they cost before I decide whether I want to do it. But a character with lots of armor and evasion and speed should be pretty good in Sanctum, considering these things now affect your defenses in Sanctum and they didn't before. It's not something I'm going to try straight away, but it might be on day 3 or 4 that I start testing out Sanctum. And I'm probably going to do the lead mechanic as soon as I get into maps. As I say, I'm not in a rush. I'm happy to go and try it, see what it feels like and see what the rewards are like. And then we'll just progress a bit slower if we decide we like the league mechanic. That's kind of it for my plan for the Atlas. As I say, check how it's actually going before you copy the last stage of the tree. But if you're following the build, the first stage up to Exarch Altar Farming will work a treat for getting your build going and getting you some currency to start spending on whatever you like. There's going to be 5 trees linked in a video description, and they're just the different parts of my progression. The first will be where we go up to essences and then we drop back and start farming them. Second will be when we add shrines in and start taking some map nodes. Third will be when we go to Wandering Path and actually complete our Atlas. The fourth will be the Exarch altar farm. And then the fifth is going to be this destructive play strategy where we're going to try and get loads of invitations and boss maps. That's it for the video. I will be streaming at League Start, so I'll put my Twitch link in the video description. I'm going to basically complete the campaign on day 1. Hopefully it'll take about 5 hours because it's 9 o'clock at night for me. I don't want it to take much longer than that. Then I'm not playing at all on Saturday because I'm out the house. And then Sunday, probably all the way through till Friday, I'll try and find some time to stream every day. So people can drop in and check on progress and ask any questions that they might want to. That's it for the video. Hope everyone has a really fun and good League Start. Take care and see you in the next one.